Under the burning sky of a collapsing America, war raged with no mercy. Cities were reduced to rubble, families torn apart, and the enemy's weapon left death in its path. In the heart of New York, where millions had fallen, a lone figure stepped out from the ruins, Daniel Cole, a former Marine thought to be lost with the rest. Soldiers gasped, survivors froze, for he had walked through what killed everyone else and still breathed. The impossible stood before them, a man untouched by the deadliest weapon known to mankind. Whispers raced like wildfire, he survived the impossible. Fear and awe clashed in every heart. Some called it a miracle, others a curse, but in the darkest hour of despair, Daniel became a living spark of hope. His survival was more than chance, it was the sign that maybe, just maybe, humanity was not finished yet. Daniel's survival spread like a storm through military lines. He was quickly seized by U.S. intelligence, dragged into hidden bases where scientists probed him day and night. Blood tests, scans, and experiments all came back with no answers. His body carried no scars, no weakness, as though the weapon had never touched him. Yet the truth haunted every soldier who saw him. Millions were gone, but one man stood alive. Rumors began to twist the battlefield, reaching enemy ears, who whispered his name like a curse, the anomaly. For America's broken heart, Daniel's existence became a reason to fight again, a flame that refused to die. Civilians whispered his story with trembling voices, while the enemy plotted to silence him. Daniel himself wrestled with guilt, tormented by the question that never left his mind: why me? Why did I live when so many others died? The enemy wasted no time. To them, Daniel was a threat greater than any army. Squads of elite hunters were sent across ruined streets and shattered plains to find and end him. Every hour turned into a chase, every shadow a possible ambush. Yet Daniel was not alone. A small band of American soldiers swore to defend him, even at the cost of their lives. Together they fought through fire and steel, clinging to survival. In every battle, Daniel changed. Where others weakened, he grew stronger. The weapon that claimed countless souls seemed to feed his body, hardening him, sharpening him, turning fear into raw power. Whispers of his invincibility began to rattle enemy soldiers, spreading doubt where once there had been only confidence. The legend of the man who could not be killed spread faster than the war itself, making Daniel both target and symbol in one breath. The U.S. government seized the moment, desperate for victory. A plan was laid for a counterattack to retake Washington, D.C., the last symbol of power under siege. Daniel was placed at the front, the weapon they could not destroy now turned into a shield of hope. As troops marched into the capital, the enemy unleashed their greatest fury, bombardments, waves of soldiers, and their dreaded weapon, raining death upon all. Yet through the chaos, Daniel advanced without flinching. The deadly clouds and fire parted as if the earth itself recognized him. He walked unharmed, a living defiance against destruction. Both armies froze to watch the miracle unfold, eyes wide, breaths held. For the first time since the war began, the enemy faltered. Doubt crept into their ranks, and silence rippled across the battlefield. In that moment, Daniel was no longer a man, he was the impossible, walking among them. As the world clung to his story, Daniel's legend only grew. Soldiers marched harder, civilians prayed louder, and America's spirit began to rise from its ashes. Yet within Daniel, something darker stirred. Each time he faced the enemy's weapon, his body grew stronger, but his mind was haunted by visions, flashes of unknown places, voices not his own, fragments of an alien memory. The scientists warned him that he was changing in ways no human should, that the weapon was rewriting him. At night, he dreamed of fire, of creation, of a design far beyond war. Was he still Daniel Cole, or was he becoming something else entirely? The people saw him as a savior, but inside, he feared he was losing his soul. Still, he fought on, driven not by what he was, but by what others believed he could be, the hope of a dying nation. In the shadows of power, not all believed Daniel was salvation. Whispers of fear spread through the ranks of generals and politicians. To them, he was too dangerous, too unpredictable, a weapon that could turn on them at any moment. A secret plan was set in motion, a betrayal born of fear. Daniel was ambushed by his own men, drugged, and handed over to the enemy as part of a desperate bid for peace. Shackled and dragged through fire-scorched ruins, Daniel found himself in the heart of enemy territory. There, his captors revealed truths long buried, secrets that made his blood run cold. The weapon, they said, was not foreign at all, but stolen. It was born from America's own hands, forged in hidden labs. Daniel realized his survival was no accident, it was destiny shaped by human ambition, and the enemy had only refined what America had first unleashed. The revelation cut deeper than any wound. Daniel was told he was part of a forgotten experiment, a soldier chosen before he ever knew his fate. The immunity that spared him was no miracle, but a design etched into his very blood decades ago. Rage consumed him as he realized the same country he fought for had created the nightmare that destroyed millions. Yet even in chains, he was still a symbol to both sides, the living proof that their weapon was not unstoppable. When his fellow soldiers risked their lives to free him, Daniel faced a choice that split his soul. Should he stand with the nation that betrayed him, or embrace the truth of what he was and end the war another way? The weight of humanity pressed on him, forcing him to choose not as a soldier, but as the man the world now looked to. The battlefield trembled with its final storm. Soldiers clashed, weapons roared, and the enemy unleashed their deadliest strike yet. Daniel stepped forward, no longer running, no longer hiding from what he was. Unarmed and unafraid, he walked into the fire meant to erase him forever. The weapon erupted, a tide of death meant to consume all, yet Daniel did not fall. Instead, he absorbed its fury, his body glowing with a power no human had ever known. Both armies froze, eyes locked on the impossible truth: death itself had bowed to him. The weapon crumbled into silence, leaving Daniel standing alone, a man who had defeated the undefeatable. Enemy soldiers dropped their arms, the war draining from their hearts. America's broken land breathed again, not in victory, but in awe. The battle ended not with force, but with one man who survived the impossible, changing history forever.